Our CES 2019 coverage is brought to you by Thermaltake. Check them out in the link below. What's up guys, welcome back to another GGF video, and we are here at the Thermaltake suite at CES 2019. Now we have a few things to cover here, but first off I want to take a look at this humongous RGB electronic desk. Now this thing is electronic, it does go up and down. As you can see over here we do have the controls. I'll get a close up on that. Now it does go quite high. It is a sit stand desk, so I won't be able to go all the way now because it is going to hit this sort of Thermaltake structure, but it does go really low as well. So that's pretty sweet. And of course you can't have a desk in 2019 without some RGB. Now there is RGB all the way around here, and there are a heap of modes because this just simply connects to Thermaltake's ecosystem. So if we go through a few different modes, I was also trying out the game mode earlier before. You can set this up so when you're in different colors of the game, so you're in the grass and it's green, the side goes green. When you're looking at the sky, it goes blue. So that's really sweet how it does that. Other specs on this price, we're not quite sure yet, or Thermaltake's not quite sure yet. And they do have a manual one as well. It's got like a knob on the side, so that'll probably be much cheaper because this one's decked out to hold a lot of weight. Now we're talking like 220 pounds, that's roughly 100 kilograms. So an average PC is going to weigh probably 20 to 30 kilos. You got your monitor, so you have heaps and heaps of weight left to do whatever you want on this desk. So let's go around and check out some more stuff. Alrighty, now moving over to probably Thermaltake's newest item to showcase here at CES is their RGB water RAM. So it's essentially liquid cooled RGB memory, but the difference here that Thermaltake is doing is they are supplying the memory as well. So instead of in the past you used to get the water cooling kit, you had to have your own memory modules that rip off those heatsinks if they had any, slap on the third-party heatsinks and the block and put it all together. Whereas this solution all comes as one in one complete kit. Now you can see the modules over here. I have done a complete sort of bit of a review, overview, and a time-lapse build on this gear. So I'll probably throw that in the link below just to show you a little bit more on that if you are interested. So at this stage, Thermaltake is saying this is really just the start of their sort of memory venture. They will be doing more. They will be doing more memory without the liquid cooling. It'll be more RGB orientated. You can run it just air cooled in a normal passive system. And then we have the modules on their own, and you can actually run the modules like this on their own. You don't have to run the water block on them, and I really do like how those modules look just with that CNC'd edge on that heat spreader. It just looks really nice. In terms of spec, they have 16 32 gig kits, 3200 megahertz, and it is running off the Hynix C die. And then of course it can be used via the Thermaltake software using their controller, or what they have added now is their new wire splitter cable. So if you don't want to run their controller, you can just bypass it and run it straight through to your motherboard's 5-volt RGB header, and all the 4 major brands of motherboards are supported. Now moving over to some power supplies from Thermaltake. Now we can't have new power supplies without RGB. Now what Thermaltake has done here is they've added the RGB on the side, and they've done it on both sides. So the side we can't see is actually upside down. So now when you have it in your system and you flip it either way, the logo is going to be the right way. So that's great for inverted layouts, or if you want your power supply facing up or down, that RGB logo is going to be up the right way no matter what. Because the last thing you want is when you're setting up your system, you've got your power supply in there, you've got a nice PSU shroud with a window, and your logos are upside down. Now we've also got the fan illumination there, and I do believe that is the Ring Duo fan for that one. So you get the full illumination of that fan, just not on the sides like previously. Now moving over to some of the other units, just see here out on the table. So there's 2 models here from Thermaltake, the new ones. This is the Tough Power PF1 ARGB. Now this one is platinum. It ranges from 850 watt all the way to 1200 watt. And this one is the one with the side illumination. So if you're into RGB, this is the one you're going to want. And you can just see that fan up the top and just how cool that looks. Now moving on to the other unit is a Tough Power GF1 ARGB. This will range from 650 watt all the way to 850 watt, and this one doesn't have the side illumination, but it does have the same fan as the one over here. Now for RGB control, you can use the standard way that Thermaltake have done it, is via the USB cable. But for me, being a modder, the last thing I want to do once I've set up a whole system is to have to route the USB cable, install the software, and get that color scheme right for the theme build that I've done. What Thermaltake have now done has added RGB control via the rear of the power supply. So there's 2 push-in buttons, you can change the modes, the color, all of that style just from the back of the unit, which I really appreciate. It just makes things that little bit easier. And then lastly, you can also control the RGB via your motherboard's 5-volt RGB header, and all the 4 major motherboard brands are supported. Over here we have some new coolants from Thermaltake. Now these ones are really interesting. These are the P1000. We've got a blue here and a yellow, and of course we have all the colors at the back there. And the great thing about this is pastel, but it's a little bit different. It is powderless coolant. There is no powder used in the manufacturing process for this. I've been using this at home and it still looks like powder. It still looks like the original pastel they've used before, but it has no powder buildup. And I've had some at home sitting in a clear bottle for about 3 weeks or so now, and I have had 0 buildup in the bottom of the bottle. So things are starting to look good. So far, we can't really determine how well it's going to go long term, but for now, things are looking pretty good. So that's a good sign from Thermaltake with this powderless coolant. And then moving up here, we have some new radiators. These are full copper. These are the CLM series. So CLM being medium. These are 40 millimeters in thickness, and they go from 360, 480, and the 240. Now Thermaltake have already got the C. They are the 30 millimeters in thickness, so they're the little thin ones. And then they also have the CL, which are their big boy 60 millimeter copper radiators. Now, I can't be Thermaltake without showcasing some new cases. So we'll just check out these 3 over here. On the right, this one's already been released before. This is a Thermaltake A500 aluminium chassis. So we've actually used this one recently in our RGB water RAM Thermaltake video and in the time that's built. So we won't cover this one over here because we've simply used that, and that can be purchased at all your major resellers at the moment. But what I cover over here is the Thermaltake S500. So similar to the A500, this one is made from steel. All up the top here is steel instead of aluminium like in the A500. So a few benefits of this one is it's going to be cheaper. So you don't have to worry about the cost of the aluminium, but it is going to be slightly heavier. So it's up to you whether you want the look of the aluminium like the one over here, or you want the steel look. The steel is a little bit darker. It seems to be more of like a light black color. Now taking a look on the inside, the layout is similar to the A500, but we do have a few changes. It's sort of a more compact level 20 GT. We have that half-length power supply shroud, hard drive bays go down to the bottom, and then we have that really awesome vertical GPU mount. I reviewed this in the level 20 GT, and it was one of my favorite cases with a vertical GPU mount. And of course, you can also do it horizontal as well. And moving over to this big boy over here is the Thermaltake A700. Of course, the aluminium one. I'm not sure if they'll do an S700, but at the moment it's the A700 aluminium. And this thing is, I wouldn't say huge in height-wise, but it's just huge in width-wise. If we stand back here, comparing it to that big blue level 20s to the left, this thing is just so fat. I've been calling it the fat boy because honestly, it's just massive. Motherboard support behind the motherboard with cables should be like easy as, because this case is just huge. No doubt you can fit hard drives behind the motherboard tray and all that stuff. And then once again, this is pretty much sort of identical to the level 20 GT internal layout. We've got that half-length PSU shroud, which I really do like. It gives you lots of flexibility for radiators, and it's got that pump res mount down the bottom. And then we have that awesome vertical and horizontal GPU mount for mounting multiple video cards. You can move your video card forward and back. There are a heap of options you can do with that. Now lastly, of course, we have some custom decked out rigs to check out. We'll start from the left and we'll go to the right. Over here we have a sweet level 20 VT mod from Eric. Now he's from Canada. Everyone knows him from EZG82PC modding, and this is a sweet little level 20 VT build here. Now, if you're familiar with that case, what he's done is he has sort of thrown it on its backside, and this is actually the top, well this is actually the front, and this was what I would assume would normally be the top of the case. So he's done a sweet sort of decked out build where he's sort of rotated everything, and then he's gone with sort of a decked out sort of biohazard theme here. And the paint job on this is just stellar. All this airbrushing on the side here, it's just a work of art. He's sort of roughed it all up a bit, and he's got the RGB in there, and it looks like he's gone with 12mm tubing all around. The Zadak RGB, the Thermaltake CPU cooler, and that's just a nice little unit, definitely something different. Now moving over here to the right, we have a level 20 GT mod from good Mark from Precision Computing from the USA. Now it's probably going to be hard to see anything in this system because this thing has the mirror reflective vinyl wrap on it. When the system's off, it's actually really hard to see inside. I'll just see if I can turn it off just to show you how crazy this actually looks when it is off. I'm not sure if he's got the power button sort of connected. If not, I'll just throw some B-roll on it so you can see. So what he's done here, he's done a pretty sweet layout. He's moved the motherboard. This is an EVGA, the X299 FTW. He's moved the motherboard sort of in towards the middle of the chassis. And then he's got the reservoir to the left. And then this massive Zotac RTX 2080 amp Extreme. And then he's got the power supply down the bottom. And a lot of chrome and copper going on in this build. And you can see the radiators have been chromed as well. There we go, system's finally turned off. So let's throw this like this and just look at that. You just can't see inside at all, just crazy. Now when I turn this back on, bam, you can see everything inside. Very nice. Now moving over to this build here, I wonder who did this build. This build is from us, built by GGF in another level 20 GT. Nothing really fancy here. If you've been following my channel, I actually did this to review this chassis. I did this build to do a time-lapse video, to do a review, and then Thermaltake hit me up it was sort of a last minute sort of request if they could have this case at CES here with this build. So what I decided to do here was try and run all the tubing up towards the top for something a little bit different, and then it all connects up the top, and the top is also a luminous panel, and that's all RGB controlled as well. So something a little bit different there. I wanted to do a blue build, sort of have it very clean, all the tubes running up, and then we got the Zotac 1080 Arctic Storm there. And then of course, once again, a good shout out to Cable Mod with their awesome sleeve cables. And then moving over to this big build, this big boy over here. You've probably seen me posting photos of this on Instagram and Facebook. This thing is just huge. This is the big boy level 20. And what I've done here is I've actually inverted the colors on this one. The original case is the silver color, more like all the other level 20s over here, the silver color, but I decided to go with a black theme mainly and then have the silver as sort of aesthetic features, because I thought being here, a lot of the cases are going to be silver, so I wanted to sort of change the contrast and do something a little bit different. Now just open everything up here so we can see inside. And you're probably wondering, who did this massive res over here? This does have a D5 sitting at the back, so that cleans it up nicely. This is from Radical Customs. He's based in the USA. He's got an eBay store, so be sure to hit him up if you need a custom res for a PC or anything really. You just need to give him dimensions and he can pretty much sort out all the rest, and that just looks really sweet with the RGB showcasing behind the back. And up here we have one of those new power supplies I was talking about earlier. You can see it in there, and just how cool that looks just on the side like that. And inside, of course, we couldn't have done this build without the support of EVGA and Intel. With the motherboard there, we got a 9700K and that EVGA Hydro Copper RTX 2080 Ti just looks awesome. And then of course, thanks to G-Skill for that RGB Royale memory, which just looks awesome in the back there. And then of course, more Cable Mod cables. And that's it for our Thermaltake CES 2019 coverage. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.